says this: Manchester United can confirm that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has left his role as manager. They say thank you for everything, Ole, and there is a little heart. That's what's going on their Twitter feed at the moment. Darren Ambrose, I just want to bring you in. I mean, you said that this has gone on for too long, really, so you're not surprised, I take it?
Absolutely not, no. It was inevitable that this was going to happen. Like we touched on some of the mistakes that the players were making. The buck stops with the manager. Unfortunately, that's always the case in every football club. We knew this was going to happen. It was only a matter of time. It's happened, obviously, now. Now the club has to look forward. They have to move forward. I'm sure they have someone that they are looking at and someone they've discussed. So it's now exciting times for Manchester United.
Okay, let me read the statement in full. This is what they say. Manchester United announces that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has left his role as manager. Ole will always be a legend at Manchester United, and it is with regret that we have reached this difficult decision. While the past few weeks have been disappointing, they should not obscure all the work he's done over the past 3 years to rebuild the foundations for long-term success. They go on to say, Ole leaves with our sincerest thanks for his tireless efforts as manager and our very best wishes for the future. His place in the club's history will always be secure, not just for his story as a player, but as a great man and manager who gave us many great moments. He will forever be welcomed back at Old Trafford as part of the Manchester United family. And finally, they do confirm Michael Carrick will now take charge of the team for forthcoming games while the club look to appoint an interim manager to the end of the season. Now, David, I don't know whether you're still on the line there, hanging on for every word. I just want to get your immediate reaction then to the news. Obviously, we all expected this to happen. The right thing from the club right now, you feel?
Yeah, it's the right thing, Vicky, from Manchester United. There's no doubt about that. But many fans and commentators, observers like us, will think it's long overdue. They had a 2-week international break just gone when the likes of Norwich, Aston Villa acted quickly and decisively. Tottenham prior to that with Nuno Espirito Santo to try and match the amount of time that they had to bring in a new manager, get him into the training ground, start picking up points. And the 3 new managers that were appointed over the international break, or thereabouts, which was Eddie Howe, Dean Smith and Steven Gerrard, none of them lost on Saturday, and in the case of 2 of them, there were victories. Manchester United missed that chance. There were warning signs previously. Liverpool, Manchester City, Champions League defeat to young boys of Bern as well. And United were holding on for as long as possible because they had built around Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They handed him a new contract in July that ran until the summer of 2023, I think, or 2024, with the option of a further year, which showed their commitment. They handed Mike Phelan, his assistant, the new contract just recently. They backed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer heavily in the transfer market with signings in the summer. Rafael Varane, Jadon Sancho, Cristiano Ronaldo. They awarded him a permanent contract in March 2019 as well, which showed that they didn't just see him as an interim, they saw him as the man to build around for the future, and they didn't want to continually be known as a club who's been hiring and firing ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left in 2013. But some people just were not having Ole Gunnar Solskjaer from the start. They saw him as a failed manager at Cardiff and at Mulder being his only other experience in management as well. Yes, he had led the youth ranks at Manchester United, but this is a club that feels it should be competing with the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester City, on the continent, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSGs, and all of them have what the people we speak to in the industry feels are far superior coaches. I mean, the accolades bear that out for themselves. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer hasn't won a trophy at Manchester United. All of the other leading managers have won not just one but multiple trophies, and Conte now at Tottenham gives them the belief that they're going to win trophies. United haven't won a trophy since 2017, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has shown no real sign of bucking that trend. He failed in the Europa League final to Villarreal in the summer. Of course, that was only on penalty kicks, but I think Villarreal actually deserved that. And so this was after the Watford defeat was coming. As I understand it, he said his goodbyes to players. Now, you never know if that's just going to be goodbye for the night or goodbye, but the feeling that they got was that he was gone. And I think he'd been warned, or it had been made clear to him before the match, that one more bad defeat and performance was going to do for him. He didn't get either of those things. The performance was poor, the result was terrible. and it left him really a dead man walking in managerial terms. He would have known what was coming to him. But now comes the big decision for United. Michael Carrick's being placed in temporary charge for the forthcoming games, and they'll need to decide if they want to appoint an interim solution until the end of the season, which may buy them a bit of time to line up a permanent successor in the summer, or whether they want to go with a permanent solution now. But the options, which we can come on to talk about, are fairly slim, and there's so much more to do behind the scenes as well.
Brilliant stuff. There certainly is so much to do behind the scenes right now. Thank you so much for joining us, David. Thanks for staying with us throughout that. Okay, so if you are just joining us and you're not seeing what's on the bottom of your screen, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has indeed been sacked this morning by Manchester United. We have got Ben Ransom, who's right there at the moment at the training ground for us. So Ben, just tell us what you know at the moment.
Yeah, well, confirmation then from the club means that we can finally start to give you a little bit of clarity as to the situation. The clarity is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has left his role as Manchester United manager. Look, the club were absolutely insist last night when we put those calls in that they would want to, first of all, take their time to reach any decision, but also to do it in the right way. I think that was very, very clear. They were clear to us they weren't going to be making a change of manager, sacking a manager after an away game. They've let that kind of dust settle there. Executives did meet to discuss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future last night. The noises, though, came when they started coming out that those senior executives on the board had lost faith and confidence with him when we were hearing from a number of sources that Solskjaer had managed his last game. I think the writing was very much on the wall, but still, you have to wait until it's official. It is now that. So Solskjaer then leaves his position as Manchester United manager, a man who will be remembered very fondly by the fans, I think, particularly what he did in previous seasons. I mean, what he achieved in his first two seasons here at United were very, very good in many ways. He took the team forward, he rebuilt that trust, he rebuilt that affinity between the fans at Old Trafford and the players, something that had been lost under previous regimes, in particular under Jose Mourinho. He brought a sense of enjoyment about going to Manchester United again, a sense of pride in United, but results recently, by his own admission, have simply not been good enough. 5 defeats in the last 7 in the Premier League is not Manchester United form, no matter who the opposition are. And of course, it gets to the point where his position has become untenable. Those were the words, weren't they, of Jamie Carragher last night. I think he summed up the situation pretty perfectly when you consider that humbling defeat against Watford. So a club statement then released. That decision's been made. We understand that Solskjaer is here at the training ground. Certainly has been here this morning. We've been covering this entrance. There are 2 entrances. We haven't actually seen him there, but certainly reports from inside the club suggest that Solskjaer and Ed Woodward have been at Carrington today. We have seen some of the players arrive. They were due in today mid-morning for that recovery session because, as we've been talking about, after that defeat, they've got to go to Villarreal. That game comes up very, very quickly on Tuesday night because tomorrow they'll have that 1 day of preparation. Tomorrow involves all of the usual pre-match media activities, including open training for the cameras to film, including the management and player press conference as well, and then comes the crucial game itself. So time has been of the essence. Also interesting that when you consider that Manchester United is owned by the Glazers, they're based in Florida, but also with the club floated on the New York Stock Exchange, it's really important the club was seen to be making a decision that takes control of the situation. That's, I think, why we've got the statement this morning and today. So Solskjaer leaves. Confirmation as well then that Michael Carrick will take charge of that game against Villarreal. Michael Carrick, who was himself a favourite amongst Manchester United fans as a player, brought into Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's coaching staff. Questions will be raised, though, I think. Solskjaer is not wholly responsible for the situation because David De Gea admitted as much in his post-match interview yesterday. As much as the manager does, unfortunately, that's where the buck stops. His head is always on the chopping block. His coaching staff have taken a fair amount of flack, and De Gea, by his own admission, says that the players themselves also have to be fairly introspective. So Carrick has been part of that inner sanctum of Solskjaer's coaching team. So there will be some scrutiny, that's for sure, on him. United saying they will then look to appoint an interim manager until the end of the season. So whether that means that someone like a Zinedine Zidane or a Brendan Rodgers or other names that have been mentioned and speculated about would be on their hit list immediately. Doesn't sound that way, does it? If they're talking about an interim to the end of the season, perhaps this is Carrick's opportunity to audition himself for the job. We mentioned earlier that Darren Fletcher, the technical director, also has been suggested as a possible name. But anyway, what we can say for certain today is that Solskjaer has now left his position. Michael Carrick will be preparing the team, the players, for that game against Villarreal on Tuesday.
Brilliant, thank you, Ben. We will be back to you very shortly indeed, and we were going to have more from the guys as well in the studio. Plenty more reactions to the huge breaking news story this morning for you. Manchester United have sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Michael Carrick will take interim charge.